They were the most feared MAFIA twins in Seoul. Together, they were unstoppable, but an accident rendered them infertile. I grew up scared of them, but now my father owes them, and I am the price. I am Mirabelle, a Tanzanian, the lady whose beauty ignites something dark in them. They both want me, would die if they didn't have me, and me, I don't want to choose, I want them both. Why have one when I can have all? Welcome to Afro-Korean Stories, besties. As usual, I always strive to give you the best stories. Don't click off. You are about to experience something so unique from what you are used to. The contract sat on the mahogany desk between us, crisp and final. My father's shaking hands had already signed it. Now it was my turn. Sign it, Mirabelle. Kang Dae's voice was velvet over steel. He stood by the window, backlit by Seoul's glittering skyline, looking every inch the devil my mother had warned me about before she died. I gripped the pen tighter, my brown skin stark against the gold trim. And if I refuse, then your father loses more than money. Minjun spoke from where he leaned against the bookshelf, quieter than his twin, but no less dangerous. He loses his life. Is that what you want? My chest constricted. I looked at my father, slumped in his chair, and saw only a shell of the man who'd raised me. Gambling had destroyed him. Now it would destroy me too. How long? Forever. Kang Dae turned, and his eyes, dark and fathomless, pinned me in place. This isn't a temporary arrangement. You become ours. Completely. Ours? The word stuck in my throat. I'd known I was being sold to settle a debt. I hadn't known the buyer was plural. Minjun pushed off the bookshelf and moved closer. Where his brother was all sharp edges, he was smooth lines and careful precision. Did you think it would be just one of us? We share everything, Mirabelle. We always have. Heat flooded my face, understanding dawning with horrifying clarity. You can't be serious. Sign the contract. Kang Dae was suddenly there, his hand covering mine on the pen. His touch burned. Unless you want to watch your father's blood stain this very expensive carpet. I signed. The penthouse they took me to was obscene in its luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the Han River. Furniture that probably cost more than my father's debt. Art on the walls that belonged in museums. I stood in the center of the living room, my small suitcase at my feet, and felt like a sacrifice on an altar. You'll have your own room, Minjun said, watching me with those careful eyes. Until you're ready. Ready for what? But I knew. My body knew, responding to their proximity in ways that shamed me. For us. Kang Dae circled me slowly, a predator assessing prey. We're not animals, Mirabelle. We won't force you, but make no mistake. You will want us. You'll beg for us. You're insane. I grabbed my suitcase, needing distance, needing air. Where's my room? Minjun led me down a hallway, opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than my entire childhood home. Everything you need is here. Clothes in the closet, your size, toiletries in the bathroom. If you need anything else, ask. What I need is to go home. He stepped closer, and I caught his scent. Sandalwood and something darker, more primal. This is home now. The sooner you accept that, the easier this becomes. His fingers traced my jawline, feather light. We're not the monsters you think we are. You bought me. My voice shook. That makes you exactly the monsters I think you are. We saved you. His hand dropped. Your father's debts weren't just to us. The Yakuza wanted him dead. The Chinese triads had already sent warning shots. We gave him an out, and we gave you protection. Try to remember that when you hate us. He left, closing the door softly behind him. I stood there trembling, not from fear, but from the unwanted heat his touch had sparked. I hated them. I had to hate them. Feeling anything else was madness. 3 days passed in a strange limbo. They left me alone, letting me explore the penthouse like a caged bird testing the bars. I found a library that made my literature-loving heart ache, a kitchen stocked with foods from home that made my eyes burn. They'd researched me, learned me. The thought was both terrifying and thrilling in ways I refused to examine. On the fourth night, everything changed. I was reading in the library when Kangdae found me. He looked different. Hair mussed, jacket gone, tie loosened, human, almost. You've been avoiding us. I've been giving you what you wanted, space. I don't want space. He sat across from me and the air thickened. I want to know you, the real you, not the terrified girl hiding in her room. You want to know me? Anger sparked, hot and sharp. Fine. I'm 23 years old. I was studying journalism before my father's mess destroyed that dream. I love storms and hate liars. My favorite color is the orange of Tanzanian sunsets. And I never wanted this, any of this. Is that real enough for you? Something flickered in his eyes. You're angry. Good. Anger I can work with. It's better than the fear. Who says I'm not still afraid? Your eyes. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. They're blazing right now, Mirabelle, like fire. It's beautiful. My breath caught. The way he said my name, with that slight accent, did things to my insides I didn't want to acknowledge. Don't. Don't what? Tell you you're stunning when you're furious. It's the truth. He stood, moved closer. Everything about you is stunning. Your skin, like polished mahogany. Your hair, those curls I want to wrap around my fingers. Your mouth. He stopped inches away, close enough that I felt his heat. Your mouth that I dream about every night. Stop. But I didn't move. Couldn't move. His proximity was intoxicating, drowning out logic and fear and everything that said this was wrong. Make me. The challenge hung between us, heavy and electric. I shoved him. Hard. He barely moved, but surprise flashed across his face. I am not yours to toy with. I signed your contract because I had no choice, but that doesn't mean I'll play your games. Everything is a game, Mirabelle. The question is whether you want to lose by hiding or win by playing. He caught my wrist as I tried to push past him. One dinner. Tomorrow night. The three of us. Let us show you we're more than the legends. And if I refuse? His thumb stroked the inside of my wrist, finding my racing pulse. I'll be disappointed. But I won't force you. That's not how this works. I yanked free and left, my skin burning where he'd touched me. That night, I barely slept. My mind replayed the encounter over and over, his words, his eyes, the way my body had responded despite my mind's protests. I was in trouble. Deep, dangerous trouble. Morning came too soon. I found Min-jun in the kitchen, cooking. The domesticity of it jarred. You cook? I do many things that might surprise you. He flipped something in the pan, pancakes, I realized. Hungry? My stomach answered for me. I sat at the island watching him work with the same precision he applied to everything else. Your brother said dinner tonight. He told me. Will you come? Do I have a choice? Always. He plated the pancakes, added fruit, set it before me with quiet elegance. But I hope you will. Not because of the contract, but because you're curious. I see it in your eyes when you think we're not looking. Heat crept up my neck. I'm not curious. Liar. He smiled and it transformed his face from austere to devastating. Eat. You're too thin. We need to fix that. The pancakes were perfect. I hated that they were perfect. Hated that his care in making them made my chest tight. Why are you being nice to me? Why wouldn't I be? He poured coffee, added sugar the way I liked it without asking. You're ours now. We take care of what's ours. I'm not property. No. He met my eyes, and the intensity there stole my breath. You're so much more than that. You just don't see it yet. The boutique was called Elegance, tucked into Gangnam's most exclusive shopping district. I'd been summoned there by text, the message from Min-jun simple and direct. Be ready at 2. Wear something comfortable. A car will collect you. I'd considered refusing. But curiosity, that dangerous curiosity Min-jun had identified, won out. The driver was silent, professional, and the boutique was empty when we arrived. empty except for the twins and a nervous-looking attendant. "You didn't have to close the entire store," I said, taking in racks of designer clothes that cost more than most people made in a year. We wanted privacy. Kang Dae was dressed down today, black jeans and a fitted shirt that emphasized his build. "You need a wardrobe. Consider this part of your contract benefits." "I don't want your money." "Too bad." Minjun appeared with an armful of dresses. "You're ours now. That means you dress the part. Try these." The next hour was torture. They sat like kings while I modeled outfit after outfit, their eyes tracking every movement with predatory focus. Some dresses they approved with nods, others they rejected with curt dismissals. The power dynamic should have enraged me. Instead, it sparked something else entirely. That one. Kang Dae's voice had gone rough when I emerged in a red dress that hugged every curve. Definitely that one. It's too much. I turned to the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. The dress was bold, sensual, transforming me into someone dangerous. "It's perfect." Minjun stood, circled me slowly. "You look like a queen." "I look like someone's expensive toy." "You look like ours." Kang Dae was suddenly there, his hand settling on my waist. Through the thin fabric, his touch was electric. "And before you argue, remember, we like our things beautiful, treasured, and well protected." I should have pulled away, should have maintained distance. But my body had other ideas, swaying into his touch like a flower seeking sun. "This is wrong. This is inevitable." His breath ghosted across my neck. "Stop fighting what we all know is coming." Minjun's hand found my other hip, and I was trapped between them, their heat surrounding me. The boutique attendant had conveniently disappeared. We were alone, and the air was suffocating with want. "One kiss," Minjun murmured against my ear. "Let us show you it doesn't have to be terrible." I can't. But my resolve was crumbling, my body betraying me with every racing heartbeat. "You can." Kang Dae turned me to face him, his hands framing my face. "Just one. If you hate it, we'll stop. We'll back off. Give you more time." I should have said no, should have run. But when his lips met mine, gentle and questioning, all thoughts of refusal evaporated. The kiss was nothing like I'd feared. It was reverent, almost sweet, coaxing rather than taking. When he pulled back, I was breathless. Then Minjun turned me toward him and kissed me completely differently. Where his brother had been gentle, he was consuming, showing me depths I hadn't known existed. His tongue traced my lower lip, requesting entry I granted without thought. The kiss deepened, and I felt myself melting, becoming liquid heat in their hands. When they finally released me, I was shaking. We should have done it days ago." Kang Dae's eyes were molten. "Still want us to stop?" I wanted to lie, wanted to say yes, maintain my dignity, my resistance. But my body was humming, alive in ways it never had been. "I don't know what I want." "Yes, you do." Minjun's thumb traced my swollen lower lip. "You're just scared to admit it." They bought everything. Every dress, every outfit I'd tried on, and dozens I hadn't. The attendant reappeared with champagne and congratulations, and I stood there in the red dress, feeling like I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. Dinner that night was at an exclusive restaurant I'd only read about in magazines. We had a private room, just the three of us, and food that was more art than sustenance. I'd worn the red dress at their request, and the way they looked at me made me feel powerful and terrified in equal measure. "Tell us about Tanzania," Minjun said as we ate. "What do you miss most?" The question surprised me. Everything. The warmth, the way the rain smells, my mother's family. Pain lanced through me. She died when I was 15. Cancer. That's when my father started gambling. He was trying to escape the grief. Kang Dae's hand found mine across the table. "I'm sorry." The sympathy in his voice undid something in me. "Why are you doing this? Really? You could have anyone. Why buy a bride you don't need?" They exchanged one of their looks, silent communication flowing between them. Finally, Minjun spoke. 3 years ago, we were in an accident. A car bomb meant for someone else. We survived, but it left us, unable to have children naturally. My chest tightened. I'm so sorry. We need an heir, Kang Dae continued, his voice flat. Someone to continue the Kang legacy. We considered surrogacy, adoption, but neither felt right. Then we heard about you. A Tanzanian journalism student whose father owed money to half of Seoul's underworld, I said bitterly. A convenient solution. A beautiful woman who stood up to loan sharks twice her size. Minjun's correction was gentle. Who protected her father despite his failures, who had fire in her eyes and steel in her spine. We didn't want convenient, Mirabelle. We wanted you. You don't even know me. We know enough. Kang Dae's grip on my hand tightened. We know you volunteer at the refugee center every week. We know you cry during sad movies, but hide it because you think tears are weakness. We know you're afraid of us, but attracted to us, and that conflict is eating you alive. I pulled my hand free, heart hammering. You've been spying on me. We've been learning you, Min Jun corrected. There's a difference. We don't take our commitments lightly, Mirabelle. You're not just a contract. You're ours. That means we need to understand you, protect you, cherish you. I'm not a thing to be cherished. But even as I said it, warmth bloomed in my chest at the word. No, you're a woman to be worshipped. Kang Dae stood, moved around the table until he was kneeling beside my chair. The position put him below my eye level, and the submission of it shocked me. Let us show you. Give us 1 month. If after 30 days you still hate us, still want to leave, we'll tear up the contract. You'll be free. Your father's debt's cleared. You're lying. We never lie. Min Jun joined his brother, both of them kneeling before me like supplicants. 1 month. Let us prove we can make you happy. Let us prove this can be more than a transaction. I looked between them, these powerful men humbling themselves, before me, and felt my resistance cracking. And if I agree, what happens? You stop hiding in your room. Kang Dae's hand rested on my knee, burning through fabric. You let us court you properly. Dinners, dates, conversations. Let us show you the men behind the legends. No pressure for anything physical, Min Jun added. Not until you're ready, but you give us a real chance. No more walls, no more hiding behind anger. It was insane, dangerous. Everything logical said refuse. But when I looked in their eyes and saw raw want tempered with something softer, something that looked almost like hope, logic fled. 1 month, I heard myself say, but I'm not promising anything beyond that. Their smiles were twin suns, brilliant and blinding. We'll take it, they said in unison. The month that followed was unlike anything I'd experienced. They courted me with a single-minded focus that was overwhelming and intoxicating. Breakfast in bed most mornings, flowers appearing in my room with notes that ranged from sweet to scorching. They took me to museums, art galleries, concerts, showed me Seoul through their eyes, the hidden places tourists never saw. But more than the gestures, it was the quiet moments that undid me. Min Jun teaching me to play chess, his patience infinite as I learned strategy. Kang Dae reading beside me in the library, our silences comfortable rather than tense. Both of them listening when I talked about my dreams, my fears, treating my words like they mattered. I was falling, slowly, inevitably, terrifyingly. I felt it in the way my heart raced when they entered a room, in how I found excuses to touch them, a hand on an arm, fingers brushing during dinner, in the dreams that left me aching and confused, wanting things I'd convinced myself I didn't. 2 weeks in, everything shifted. We were at a club they owned, private and exclusive. The music pulsed through me as Kang Dae led me to the dance floor, Min Jun close behind. They sandwiched me between them, and the heat of their bodies against mine was intoxicating. You're beautiful when you let go, Kang Dae murmured, his hands on my hips guiding my movements. Behind me, Min Jun's chest pressed against my back, his breath hot on my neck. I'm not letting go. But I was. My body moved with theirs, finding a rhythm that was pure instinct. Liar. Minjun's lips grazed my ear, and lightning shot through me. You've been letting go for days. You just won't admit it. The song changed, slower now, more sensual. Kangdae's hand slid up my side, thumb brushing the underside of my breast through my dress. Tell us to stop. I couldn't. My head fell back against Minjun's shoulder, eyes closing as sensation overwhelmed thought. We're in public. No one can see us, private booth, tinted glass. Kangdae's other hand traced my jawline. It's just us. Always just us. Minjun's hand joined his brother's on my hip, and together they controlled my movements, making me feel things I'd never felt. Say yes, he whispered. Stop fighting. Say yes to us. I can't. But the protest was weak, my body screaming the opposite. Yes, you can. Kangdae's forehead pressed against mine, his eyes boring into me. You're already ours, Mirabelle. You have been since that first kiss. Stop denying what we all know. The truth of his words broke something in me. I'm scared. We know. Minjun's lips found the curve where my neck met my shoulder, placing a kiss that made me whimper. But we've got you. We'll always have you. The drive home was charged with electric tension. They sat on either side of me in the back seat, hands finding skin, lips finding pulse points. By the time we reached the penthouse, I was trembling, need and fear warring for dominance. Inside, Kangdae pinned me against the door, his body a wall of heat. Last chance to say no. I looked into his eyes, saw the raw want there tempered with something deeper, looked past him at Minjun, whose careful control was fracturing. These men who terrified half of Seoul were giving me power over them. The realization was heady, intoxicating. I don't want to say no. The admission freed something in me. I want this, want you, both of you. Kangdae's kiss was fire, consuming and demanding. He lifted me, my legs wrapping around his waist instinctively. Minjun's hand tangled in my hair, turning my head so he could claim my mouth when his brother released it. They passed me between them, each kiss deeper than the last, each touch stoking flames higher. Bedroom, Minjun growled, and suddenly we were moving, a tangle of limbs and desperate touches. They laid me on their massive bed, our bed now, some part of my mind whispered, and stood back, eyes devouring. You're perfect, Kangdae breathed, his hands going to his shirt buttons. Every inch of you. Minjun was already shirtless, and the sight of him made my mouth water. When had I become this person, this woman who wanted with such ferocity? I've never... My voice trailed off, heat flooding my face. They both froze. Never? Minjun's voice was carefully neutral. I shook my head. I was waiting. For the right person, the right time. Bitter laughter escaped. I guess I was waiting for two impossible men who bought me like property. Not property. Kangdae climbed onto the bed, prowling toward me with predatory grace. Never property. You're precious, Mirabelle, priceless, and we're going to spend the rest of our lives proving it. What followed was an education in pleasure I'd never imagined. They were patient, reverent, treating my body like something sacred. Each touch was deliberate, each kiss a question I answered with gasps and moans. They learned me inch by inch, discovering what made me sigh, what made me arch, what made me plead. When it was over, when I lay between them boneless and sated, reality crept back. What happens now? Now you're ours. Kangdae pressed a kiss to my temple, truly completely ours. And you're ours, I found myself saying, surprising us all. Both of you. If we're doing this, it goes both ways. Minjun's laugh was soft, pleased. We've been yours since we first saw you, Mirabelle. You just needed to catch up. The weeks that followed were a blur of discovery and surrender. I learned them as they'd learned me. Kangdae's fierce protectiveness that manifested in unexpected gentleness. Minjun's quiet devotion that ran ocean deep. I learned that I could want both without guilt, love both without choosing. They were two halves of one whole, and somehow I'd become the piece that completed them. But happiness in their world was always temporary. The reminder came on a rainy Thursday, 6 weeks into our marriage. I was at the refugee center helping translate for new arrivals when the first shot rang out. Chaos erupted. Someone grabbed me, dragging me toward a back exit. I fought, screaming until I saw the tattoo on his wrist, a rival gang's mark. They weren't random violence. They were here for me. The kidnapper got me to a van before all hell broke loose. Kang Dae and Min Jun materialized from nowhere, a storm of lethal violence. I'd never seen them like this. No control, no calculation, just raw fury. Bodies dropped, blood sprayed. Within minutes, my would-be kidnappers were neutralized, and I was wrapped in their arms, trembling. "You're okay. We've got you." Min Jun's voice was shaking as badly as I was. "You're okay." But I wasn't. The reality of their world, of my world now, crashed over me. This was what it meant to be theirs. Targets on my back, violence always one wrong move away. "Take me home," I whispered. At the penthouse, they tried to tend to me, but I pushed them away. The fear that had been absent for weeks roared back, suffocating. "I can't do this." "Yes, you can." Kang Dae grabbed my shoulders. "You're stronger than you know." "I'm not strong enough for this. People tried to kidnap me. They could have..." My voice broke. "I could have died." "But you didn't." Min Jun's hands were gentle on my face. "We would never let that happen. You're too precious." "You can't promise that. This world, your world, it's too dangerous." "Then we'll make it safer." Kang Dae's eyes blazed with determination. "We'll burn down anyone who threatens you. We'll reshape the entire underworld if that's what it takes. But you don't run. You don't leave us." The possessiveness should have scared me. Instead, it ignited something fierce in my chest. These men would destroy the world for me. And God help me. I wanted them to. "Promise me," I demanded. "Promise me you'll always come, that I'm never alone in this." "Always," they said together. "No matter what, we'll come for you. You're ours, Mirabelle. That means forever." I kissed them both, tasting fear and promise and love on their lips. "Then I'm staying, but on one condition." "Anything," Min Jun breathed. "Teach me." I pulled back, meeting their startled gazes. "If I'm part of this world, I need to know how to survive it. Teach me to fight, to shoot, to be more than a liability." Kang Dae's smile was proud and fierce. "We'll teach you everything." The training started the next morning. They were merciless instructors, pushing me past limits I didn't know I had. I learned hand-to-hand combat from Kang Dae, his body pressing mine into fighting stances until muscle memory took over. Min Jun taught me weapons, his patience infinite, as I learned to shoot, to defend, to kill if necessary. "You're a natural," he said after I hit 6 targets in a row. "It's terrifying and beautiful." "I have good motivation." I lowered the gun, turning to find them both watching me with identical expressions of heated pride. "I refuse to be your weakness. If I'm going to be yours, I'll be your strength too." That night, they showed me their appreciation in ways that left me breathless and begging. I was becoming someone new, harder, fiercer, but somehow more myself than I'd ever been. The girl who'd signed that contract was gone. In her place was a woman who'd chosen her monsters and made them into something more. 3 months into our marriage, I attended my first family meeting. The 5 families gathered, and I stood between my husband's chin high, wearing armor in the form of a midnight blue dress. Eyes assessed me, calculating my worth, my threat level. "This is Mirabelle Kang," Kang Dae announced, "our wife, and anyone who touches her signs their own death warrant." Park Min-ah, the only other woman in the room, smiled. "Welcome to the game, sweetheart. Try not to die." "I don't plan to." I met her gaze steadily. "I'm good at survival." The meeting was brutal. Territory disputes, profit margins, barely veiled threats. I stayed silent, watching, learning. These were the people who shaped Seoul's underworld. Understanding them meant understanding how to survive. I was nobody's weakness. I couldn't be. Not if I wanted to keep the men I loved safe, too. When it was over, Park Min-ah cornered me. "You're different from what I expected. Stronger." "I had good teachers." She laughed. "Those two are obsessed with you. It's almost sweet if obsession can ever be sweet. But obsession makes people sloppy. Watch their backs when they're too busy watching yours." Her words haunted me. Were they vulnerable? Because of me? The thought was unbearable. That night I demanded answers. "Tell me the truth. Does loving me make you weak?" "It makes us mortal," Min-jun admitted quietly. "Before you, we had nothing to lose. Now we have everything." "Then we balance it." I pulled them close. "I protect you. You protect me. We protect each other. 3 points make a triangle, and triangles are the strongest shape." Kang-dae kissed me fiercely. "When did you become so wise?" "When I fell in love with 2 impossible men." The words were easy now, no longer terrifying. "I love you, both of you, completely." "We love you too," they said, and the future stretched before us. Dangerous, uncertain, but ours to shape together. The months blurred into a rhythm that felt like breathing. Wake up tangled between them, their warmth chasing away nightmares. Training sessions that left me bruised and empowered. Dinners where business mixed with pleasure. Their hands finding mine under the table during tense negotiations. I was learning their world, and somehow, impossibly, it was becoming mine. But peace never lasted long in Seoul's underworld. The threat came on a Tuesday morning. I was reviewing shipping manifests. Min-jun had started teaching me their legitimate business operations when both twins burst into the office, faces grim. "We need to talk," Kang-dae said, his jaw tight in that way that meant trouble. I set down my pen. "What happened?" Min-jun pulled up security footage on his tablet. "Someone's been asking questions about you, about your family in Tanzania, your background, your relationship with us." Ice flooded my veins as I watched grainy footage of a man showing my photo around the refugee center. "Who is he?" "Lee Faction." Kang-dae's hands clenched into fists. "They're testing us, seeing if you're a vulnerability they can exploit." "Then show them I'm not." I stood, channeling the fear into fury. "What do we do?" They exchanged one of their looks, the silent communication that used to frustrate me, but now felt like witnessing something sacred. "We make a statement," Min-jun said slowly. "Show every family in Seoul that touching you means death." "How?" Kang-dae's smile was dangerous. "By letting you prove yourself. There's a deal tonight, neutral ground. All 5 families will have representatives there. You come with us, stand as our equal. Show them you're not just our wife. You're a force they need to respect." Every instinct screamed caution. This was deeper than I'd ventured, real exposure to their world's brutality. But backing down now meant being protected forever. Always the weakness they had to guard. What do I need to do? "Be yourself." Min-jun's hand cupped my cheek. "Be the woman who faced down loan sharks, who learned to shoot in 3 weeks, who walks through our world like she was born to it. That woman terrifies them more than any threat we could make." The location was a warehouse in Incheon, industrial and isolated. We arrived in a convoy, security tight enough to make me feel like a president. Inside, the other families were already positioned. Park, Lee, Choi, Yoon remnants, now led by a cousin. Everyone armed. Everyone assessing. I walked between Kang-dae and Min-jun, head high, wearing black that made my skin glow and my intentions clear. I wasn't prey. I was a predator in training. "Gentlemen," Min-jun's voice carried authority that silenced side conversations. "And lady," he nodded to Park Min-ah. "Shall we begin?" The negotiations were complex. Territory adjustments, profit sharing from a new port route, disputes over protection fees. I stayed silent, watching the dance of power and manipulation. Lee Dong-hyun kept glancing at me, calculating. Finally, he spoke directly. "Mrs. Kang, I hear you've been taking quite an interest in your husband's business affairs." Trap. The question was designed to make me seem either ignorant or overreaching. I take interest in everything that concerns my family, Mr. Lee, don't you? Family. He smiled, cold and assessing. An interesting concept for an arrangement marriage. Tell me, how does a Tanzanian journalism student find herself married to Seoul's most dangerous twins? The same way any woman does. I met his gaze without flinching. I made a choice, and I chose well. Kang Dae's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. Pride radiated from him. Choices can be unmade, Lee continued pushing. If someone offered you freedom, would you take it? The warehouse went silent. This was more than curiosity. It was an offer, a test, or both. Every eye fixed on me, waiting. I stood slowly, commanding attention without effort. Mr. Lee, let me be very clear since you seem confused. I'm not here because I'm owned. I'm here because I choose to be. My husbands are mine as much as I'm theirs. And anyone who thinks I'm a weakness they can exploit should remember, the most dangerous weapon is one you underestimate. I pulled the gun from my thigh holster, Min Jun's training paying off, and placed it on the table with deliberate care. I'm not a damsel waiting for rescue. I'm a Kang, and we don't forgive threats. Park Min-ah laughed, the sound genuine. I like her more every time we meet. Lee, you just got schooled by a girl half your age. The tension shattered. Lee's face flushed, but he nodded grudgingly. My apologies, Mrs. Kang. I meant no disrespect. Of course you didn't. I smiled, sweet and deadly. Now, shall we finish this business so we can all go home? The drive back was silent until we were safely in the penthouse. Then Kang Dae grabbed me, kissing me with bruising intensity. You magnificent creature, do you have any idea what you just did? Probably signed my own death warrant, I managed between kisses. You made yourself untouchable. Min Jun pulled me from his brother's arms into his own embrace. Lee won't move against you now. None of them will. You showed them you're not collateral, you're a player. Is that good or bad? Both. Kang Dae's hand spanned my waist. You're safer because they respect you. But you're also more visible, more of a target for anyone wanting to hurt us. Then I'll just have to be ready. I kissed them both, tasting pride and fear and love. I told you, I'm not your weakness. I'm your strength. They proved their agreement in ways that left me breathless and aching, their bodies worshipping mine with desperate reverence. This was what we'd become. 3 people so entangled that separating would mean tearing flesh from bone. The following weeks brought new challenges. With my position solidified, the twins began including me in actual business decisions. I sat in on strategy meetings, offered opinions on expansion opportunities, helped negotiate contracts. My journalism background gave me unexpected advantages. I could read people, spot inconsistencies in stories, dig for truth beneath surface lies. You should have been doing this from the start, Min Jun said one night after I'd spotted a potential embezzlement scheme in their casino accounts. You're brilliant at this. I had good teachers. I leaned into Kang Dae's chest where he sat behind me. Plus, I'm motivated. This empire is mine too now. I want to protect it. Our empire, Kang Dae corrected, his arms tightening around me. Everything we have is yours. The domesticity of the moment struck me. The 3 of us reviewing financial reports in bed, comfortable and united. How had this become my life? How would I become this person who discussed money laundering over breakfast and made love with 2 men who'd kill for her? The answer was simple. I'd stopped fighting what I wanted and embraced what I needed. Them. This. All of it. But shadows lurked, even in paradise. The reminder came through a phone call that changed everything. I was alone in the penthouse, rare since they usually kept me close, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mirabelle. The voice was familiar. Impossible. It's me. It's Young-hoon. My ex from university, the one who'd left for medical school and broken my heart. My hand tightened on the phone. How did you get this number? I'm in Seoul. I heard you got married. I needed to know if you were okay. Every instinct screamed danger. The twins monitored my communications. This call would trigger alarms. I'm fine. You need to lose this number and forget about me. Are you, though? Fine? His voice dropped. Mirabelle, I know who you married. Everyone knows. Those men are dangerous. If you need help, I don't. The words came out harder than intended. I'm exactly where I want to be. With 2 criminals. That's not you. The Mirabelle I knew wanted to change the world through journalism, not become some gangster's wife. Fury ignited. You don't know me anymore, Jung-hoon. You left, remember? You chose your dreams over us. I've made new choices now. Choices or surrender, there's a difference. He paused. Meet me. 1 coffee. Let me see for myself that you're truly okay. No, don't call again. I hung up, hands shaking. The phone rang again immediately. This time it was Min Jun. Who was that? No point lying, they'd already traced the call. Jung-hoon, my ex from university. I don't know how he got my number. Silence, heavy and dangerous. What did he want? To meet. I refused. I waited for the explosion, the jealous rage. Instead, Min Jun's voice was carefully controlled. Come to the office, now, we need to talk. The car arrived within minutes. The drive felt eternal. At their office building, a legitimate front for decidedly illegitimate activities. Security was tight. I was escorted to the top floor where both twins waited, faces grim. Sit. Kang Dae's tone allowed no argument. I sat, chin high despite my racing heart. If you're going to yell, just do it. We're not going to yell. Min Jun pulled up information on his computer. We're going to explain why Jung-hoon calling you is a problem. The screen showed surveillance photos of Jung-hoon, recent ones taken in Seoul. But he wasn't alone. He was meeting with Lee Dong-hyun's people. No. My denial was automatic. Jung-hoon wouldn't work with our enemies? Kang Dae's laugh was bitter. He approached the Lee faction 3 days ago, offered information about you in exchange for help rescuing you from us. The betrayal cut deep. Jung-hoon, who'd claimed to care about me, was using me as a pawn in someone else's game. Why would he do that? Money, probably. Lee offered him a substantial payment. Min Jun's eyes softened slightly. Or maybe he genuinely thinks he's saving you. Either way, he's made himself a threat. What are you going to do to him? They exchanged a look. That depends, Kang Dae said slowly. On you. On me? He's your past. Min Jun moved closer, crouching before my chair. If you have feelings for him still, if some part of you wants the life he represents, tell us now. We'll find another way to handle this. But if he means nothing, Kang Dae's voice was hard. If you're truly ours and only ours, then we handle him the way we handle all threats. They were asking me to choose. Jung-hoon's life hung in the balance, weighted against my loyalty to them. The girl I'd been a year ago would have begged for mercy, found another solution, but that girl was gone. He means nothing, I said clearly. He gave up the right to mean something when he left, and he made himself a threat when he went to your enemies. I stood, meeting their gazes without flinching. Do what you need to do, but make it clear. I'm not a victim to be saved. I'm exactly where I choose to be. The look they gave me was pure heat, pride and possession and love mixed into something overwhelming. You're sure? Min Jun pressed. Once we do this, there's no taking it back. I'm sure. And I was. Jung-hoon represented a past I'd mourned and moved beyond. He didn't get to drag me back into it now. Just make it clean, quick. He was wrong, but he's not evil. For you, Kang Dae promised, always for you. They handled it that night. I didn't ask for details, didn't want to know. All I knew was that Jung-hoon's body was found in his hotel room. Apparent heart attack. No violence, no suffering. A mercy I'd requested, and they'd granted. The guilt came later, in quiet moments. I'd essentially ordered a man's death. The weight of it pressed on my chest, making breathing difficult. Min Jun found me on the balcony at 3 a.m, staring at the city lights. Can't sleep? I keep thinking about him. About what I did. He wrapped his arms around me from behind. What we did. You're not alone in this, Mirabelle. You never will be. Does it get easier? The guilt? No. His honesty was brutal and necessary. You just learn to live with it, to remember why you made the choice and hold on to that. I chose you, I whispered. Both of you. Over everything else, I chose this. And we choose you. Kangdae's voice came from the doorway. He joined us, completing our triangle. Every day, every moment. There's no version of our future that doesn't include you. I turned in their arms, looking between the two men who'd become my entire world. Promise me something. Anything, they said together. If I ever become someone I don't recognize, if this life changes me into something dark and twisted, promise you'll remind me who I was, who I wanted to be. You're not dark and twisted. Minjun's hand cupped my face. You're strong. There's a difference. You're ours. Kangdae's kiss was gentle, and we don't let our treasures tarnish. We protect them, polish them, keep them perfect. I'm not perfect. You are to us. They took me to bed and loved me with aching tenderness, washing away the guilt and fear with touch and whispered promises. This was my redemption and my damnation, wrapped in silk sheets and strong arms. The following months brought a strange peace. The 5 families maintained their territories without conflict. Business flourished. I settled into my role as the twins' wife and partner, contributing ideas that increased profits and reduced risk. I was good at this, I realized. Good at reading situations, anticipating problems, finding solutions. You should have been born into this world, Park Min-ah told me during one of our increasingly frequent meetings. She'd become something like a mentor, teaching me the nuances of power in a male-dominated sphere. You have the instincts for it. I was born into journalism, I countered. This was thrust upon me. Was it? She sipped her tea, eyes knowing. Or did you choose it? There's power in that distinction, Mirabelle. Own your choices. Her words resonated. I had chosen this. Maybe not at first, maybe not willingly, but somewhere along the way, the cage had become a throne, and I'd claimed it deliberately. 6 months after Jung-hoon's death, I discovered I was pregnant. The realization came slowly. Missed period, exhaustion, nausea that couldn't be explained. The test confirmed it. 2 pink lines that changed everything. I stared at it in the bathroom, hands shaking, mind racing. They'd said they were infertile. The accident had made natural conception impossible. But here I was, carrying proof that miracles existed, or that doctors were wrong. I found them in the office, poring over shipping manifests. They looked up when I entered, and whatever they saw on my face made them abandon work immediately. What's wrong? Kangdae was there first, hands on my shoulders. Are you hurt? I handed him the test, unable to speak. Watched his face transform from confusion to shock to something like awe. Minjun took it from his brother's numb fingers, and the same progression played across his features. How? Minjun's voice cracked. They said we couldn't... I don't know. I found my voice. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe it's a miracle. Does it matter? You're pregnant. Kangdae said it like he was testing the words, making them real. You're carrying our child. Our child, I confirmed. Then, because fear demanded acknowledgement, are you happy? Is this what you wanted? They answered by dropping to their knees before me, hands pressing against my still flat stomach with reverence that stole my breath. Happy doesn't begin to cover it, Minjun said, voice thick with emotion. You've given us everything, Mirabelle. Your trust, your love, your strength. And now this, a future we thought was impossible. Kangdae's forehead pressed against my stomach. We're going to protect you both. Nothing will touch either of you. I swear it. I threaded my fingers through their hair, anchoring them to me. We protect each other. That's how this works, remember? The pregnancy changed everything and nothing. They became even more protective, which I'd thought impossible. Security doubled. I was rarely alone. Every appointment was attended by both of them, their wonder at ultrasound images almost childlike. There. The doctor pointed at the screen. Strong heartbeat. Everything looks perfect. I watched their faces, saw the love and terror and hope warring there. We were bringing a child into a dangerous world, a life that would be both blessed and cursed by their legacy. The responsibility was staggering. "We need to tell the families," Minjun said on the drive home. "Establish that the child is protected under all agreements." "It also makes Mirabelle an even bigger target," Kang Dae countered. "Every enemy will see this as an opportunity." "Then we eliminate the enemies before they can move." My voice was firm. "We've been reactive too long. Time to be proactive." They looked at each other, then at me. "What are you suggesting?" Minjun asked carefully. "I'm suggesting we consolidate power. The 5 families are stable but separate. What if they weren't? What if the Kangs absorbed the others, created one unified organization?" "That's basically declaring war on everyone," Kang Dae said, but his eyes were bright with interest. "Or it's offering them something better than constant territorial disputes and profit loss. I've been thinking about this for months, studying their operation and seeing inefficiencies. We approach them not as conquerors, but as the future. Join us willingly. Keep your territories, but contribute to a larger whole. Those who refuse, we crush them." Minjun finished, his smile sharp. "It's risky, but it might work." "It will work." I placed their hands on my stomach. "Because we're not just protecting ourselves anymore. We're protecting the future." The campaign took months. Park Min-ah came on board first, seeing the logic in unified strength. The Choi and Yoon remnants followed, tired of fighting for scraps. Lee Dong-hyun resisted until we presented evidence of his embezzlement from his own family. He stepped down quietly, replaced by a cousin who saw reason. By the time I was visibly pregnant, the 5 families were one. The Kang Empire, with my husbands at its head and me beside them. We'd reshaped Seoul's underworld without firing a single shot, using strategy instead of violence. "You did this," Park Min-ah told me at the celebration. "They were the muscle, but you were the brains. Don't forget that." I couldn't. This was my legacy now, carved from necessity and choice in equal measure. The night before my due date, I stood on the balcony again, looking at the city we'd claimed. Kang Dae found me there, wrapping his arms around my swollen belly. "What are you thinking?" "That I love you." The words were easy now, natural as breathing. "That I love your brother. That I love this life we've built, even though it terrifies me sometimes." "It terrifies us too." Minjun joined us, completing our triangle for what felt like the millionth time. "But we face it together." "Together," I agreed. "Always together." Labor started 3 hours later. The birth was hard, painful, but worth every moment when they placed our daughter in my arms. She had my skin tone and their features, perfect and small and impossibly ours. "She's beautiful," Kang Dae breathed, touching her tiny hand with infinite care. "She's ours," Minjun corrected, his eyes wet with tears he wasn't ashamed of. "Our miracle." I looked between them, these 2 impossible men I'd come to love with every fiber of my being, and felt complete. "What should we name her?" "Hope," they said together. "Her name is Hope." Because that's what she was. Hope for a better future. Hope that we could balance love and power, family and empire. Hope that the choices we'd made, the people we'd become, were leading somewhere beautiful. 3 months later, I stood before the United Families in my first official appearance since giving birth. Hope slept peacefully in Minjun's arms, while Kang Dae stood at my other side, a united front. "Some of you knew me as a foreign girl who married into power," I began, my voice carrying confidence hard-won through trials and choices. "Some saw me as a weakness to exploit, but I stand before you today as Mirabelle Kang, co-head of this empire, mother to its heir, and a force you've learned to respect." Applause rippled through the room, genuine and earned. Park Min-ah caught my eye and nodded, pride clear on her face. "We've built something unprecedented," I continued. Not just a criminal organization, but a legacy. Our children will inherit something stronger than what we started with, and we will protect that future with everything we have. More applause, louder now. These people who'd once looked at me with disdain or pity now saw strength. I'd earned that through blood and choice and refusing to be less than I could be. After the meeting, alone in the penthouse with my two impossible loves and our miracle daughter, I finally allowed myself to believe it. This was my life, not the life I'd planned or the one I'd dreamed of in university, but mine nonetheless, chosen and claimed and fiercely protected. "What are you thinking?" Minjun asked, reading my expression the way he always could, that I wouldn't change anything. I looked at him, at Kang Dae, at hope sleeping between us. Not a single moment, not a single choice. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. "With us," Kang Dae confirmed, his hand finding mine. "With you," I agreed, "always with you, both of you." Because that was the truth I'd learned through fire and fear, and finally, love. Why choose when I could have everything? Why settle for half when I could claim it all? I was Mirabelle Kang, wife to Seoul's most dangerous twins, mother to their miracle, and a queen in my own right. The girl who'd signed that contract in fear and desperation was gone. In her place stood a woman who'd learned that sometimes the cage you're forced into becomes the kingdom you choose to rule. And I ruled it with two kings at my side and love fierce enough to burn down anyone who threatened what we'd built. This was my happily ever after, dark and dangerous and absolutely perfect. Drop a comment and let me know if you want more stories like this.